Hey everyone, it's Toyhouze, and today is Tuesday, April 20th. Happy Tuesday, guys. I hope you have a great week. I've got some awesome updates for you straight from Blizzard that I'm going to be sharing with you today. First up, it is confirmed that heroic keys will require revered reputation. Yes, it's finally confirmed. If you have been watching some of my other videos, I really wasn't sure. And honestly, I don't think it was clear, personally, but apparently most people thought it was already known that they would be revered, as they thought. And it does make sense, because it was revered for the majority of the Burning Crusade until it was changed to honored later in patch 2.3. So with that said, you're going to have to definitely do that reputation grind, skip those quests, go straight to the dungeons to start grinding out that reputation so that you don't have to just dungeon farm later, entirely just one dungeon for the reputation. So that is confirmed. Along those lines, raid attunements are going to be available before the raid comes out in the Burning Crusade. So basically, you're going to be able to get attuned for the given raid before it's actually playable, before you can actually go into it, before the phase is actually released. I think that's great and fine. It gives everyone plenty of time to get attuned and just sit on that attunement waiting for the actual raid to come out. Also, pre-nerf dungeons and raids are going to be temporary. So this means that the corresponding patch where they get nerfed will fall into the phase where that patch was released. So basically, you're going to be able to enjoy pre-nerf content until the content is no longer current. So for example, let's say, we have pre-nerf Karazhan. Come phase 2, when Karazhan is no longer the current raid, we'll then enjoy post-nerf Karazhan, for example. So Blizzard stated, the original state of the raid will persist throughout the phase which the raid is current, but Blizzard does add that exceptions will be considered. What that might mean is perhaps something remains pre-nerf the entire duration of the Burning Crusade, perhaps. Now, I want to talk about world buffs. Now, world buffs have been completely nullified for instanced content, as Blizzard has announced that buffs acquired from creatures and quests across Outland are purged upon entering an instance. So there you go, voila, they're completely gone. However, this does not apply to world buffs from Kalimdor or Eastern Kingdoms, since they cannot be obtained after level 63. So really, there is just no world buffs at all, which makes me so happy. I mean, I was not a fan of this whole dispel, meta, this whole, getting world buffs. I mean, honestly, paying gold for summons to Stranglethorn Vale, Birdie Bay, getting, all these different world buffs, all of this effort before raiding, I just thought it was too much, kind of took out the fun of raiding for me. So I am really happy with this change. Now, there are some changes that have to do with summoning. So Blizzard announced that there will be no summoning in instances anymore. You cannot cast Ritual of Summoning, neither in instances nor netherstorm. So the netherstorm change is interesting because the instances in Tempest Keep, in the raid Tempest Keep itself, are only accessible by flying mount. And if you didn't have one, you could just be summoned to the entrance of the instance and walk right in. However, that's not going to be the case anymore, because you will now need to have a flying mount in order to do these instances now. And I actually think this is great, because I think that was the way Blizzard intended it to be. They're up there so that you have to have a flying mount in order to do it. And, being able to get summoned really takes away that sort of flying mount gate. So I think it's cool that they're getting rid of that workaround, However, this does have some unforeseen consequences for tailoring alts, for example, because Spellcloth is actually created in Netherstorm. So if you just have a Lobby who's your tailoring alt, who's just designed to create Spellcloth, you're going to have to make the journey there instead of being summoned, since you cannot be summoned in Netherstorm anymore. Now, I think this could have some implications to the economy. As you know, guys, I'm an avid gold maker. I think that Spellcloth will become one of the more expensive cloths out of the three, which have cooldowns, because of the ability to not be summoned in Netherstorm. So there's a little tidbit for you if you're still deciding which tailoring specialization to go in the Burning Crusade. Now, the instance change, not being able to summon within instances, I don't really see the point behind it. It just seems like an inconvenience they're introducing now, to have to, walk all the way back instead of being able to get summoned. I know times where that's the case, where, someone's just behind, or maybe someone new is joining the group after someone left. Perhaps they're doing this to cut back on like speed runs or something like that. But I suppose at the end of the day, it's fine, since I didn't think it was that big of a deal anyways. Now, another big change that Blizzard is introducing through this patch, or through this blue post, really, is the Primal Nether and Nether Vortex, as well as world boss items from Doomwalker and Doomlord Kazakh are going to be bind on pickup. So this is actually how it was back in the day, before it was changed to bind on equip in a later patch, and Blizzard is going to keep to this really by changing it to BOE in a later phase. Now the Primal Nether, that's a blue item, really a reagent to craft different items. They typically dropped off the last boss in a heroic dungeon, and they were used to create lots of really powerful equipment and enchants and different things. Nether Vortex dropped off raid bosses, again used to create powerful items. So these things were really valuable. However, makes total sense that they're going to keep it to this sort of BOP on release, and then BOE change to a later phase. So along those lines, Primal Nether and Nether Vortex will be available from the Badge of Justice vendor, as it was at a later phase, not again during release. Now, here is a really awesome change, guys. If you've seen any of my profession videos, I was talking about, okay, so what you want to do basically is go enchanting and, jewel crafting, enchant and jewel craft your gear, then switch professions. Well, no longer. We've seen some really interesting changes here. They're effectively getting rid of profession swapping. And now how will they possibly do this? Well, ring enchants and jewel crafting specific gems now require you to have the profession in order to benefit from them. I mean, can you imagine leveling jewel crafting all the way up just to drop it after you have your best in slot gear, and then do the same for enchanting, and then get another trade skill? Well, I totally would not have done it, but this is going to basically take that completely out of the equation, because if you want to have those ring enchants, you got to be an enchanter. If you want to have those jewel crafting specific gems, got to have the profession. So I think this is a great change. Very happy about it. I'm glad Blizzard went ahead and did it. So, there you go. Up next, Epic Engineering Goggles are going to become available from trainers during the Tier 5 content phase. That is and should be Phase 2 content release, which, in my opinion, definitely sucks. I was planning on going engineering because those goggles are so powerful. They are easily pre-raid best in slot. They're not too difficult to make, and they're amazing. There's one for everyone. Every class, every spec, there's engineering goggles for you. However, they were very powerful, and I think really the trend that we're starting to see here is that Blizzard did not want to give people access to too powerful items too early in release. Now, another change along those lines is another profession change to the one-handed blacksmithing weapons. I talked about this briefly in my last video. We talked a little bit about how, it was changed from one hand to main hand, and this is actually happening to a lot of the one-handed blacksmithing weapons. Most have been, quote, nerfed to main hand so that you cannot dual wield them until they are updated to one hand in a later phase. So it's not necessarily a permanent change. It's simply that even though we're playing on patch 2.4.3, we're sort of using this specific change that is from a previous patch, right? So we're not going to have this forever, but we're going to have it for quite some time, unfortunately. So it's almost a nerf, right? The reasoning behind this main hand and then later change to one hand is because Blizzard is arguing that having them both, having them be a one-handed, dual wielding them would be a significant power spike early on for those classes. And so Blizzard is trying to sort of keep to how Burning Crusade originally was, with balance back in the day. And I actually think this is a good move. We don't want players to be super overpowered, having their best in slot weapons, right on release, and, having two of them. And also, a really good point that was brought up is that it makes players be more creative on getting their best in slot gear. It's kind of easy to just craft two of the same weapons in your set. Now you're going to have to be a little more creative figuring out, what is it that you want to your offhand to be if you're going to have this blacksmithing main hand. Now, the next few changes are all pretty interesting. Harris Pilton will be in the game from launch. Originally, she was added during the Sunwell patch. She sells a lot of expensive, useless junk, in my opinion, except for the Gigantique bag, not gigantic, Gigantique bag, which is a 22-slot bag for 1,200 gold. Definitely a nice item there. Also, Zephyr is in the game in the World's End Tavern in Shetrath, who can conveniently teleport you to the Caverns of Time if you are revered or higher with the Keepers of Time. Now, originally Zephyr wasn't added into the game until the Sunwell patch, so this is a nice convenient change. She'll be there from release. An additional announcement is that the fishing and cooking dailies will be available from launch, ... because they do not directly or largely impact player power. I feel insulted. Feel the wrath of my storm chops. So, unfortunately, apparently it's not a big power up by doing your dailies. I'll show them. Badges of Justice will also not drop in raids until later phase, but Badges of Justice dailies will be available from launch. So we're going to have some dailies, fishing, cooking, and the dungeon dailies. I'm guessing as well as heroic dungeon dailies are all going to be available from launch. I have a video on that as well. And then that's pretty much it. So overall, I think these changes are amazing. I think Blizzard is listening to the community. They're trying to keep the Burning Crusade as similar to how it was back in the day through these changes. For the most part, of course, there are some things that are changing, but apparently they're not largely impacting player power. I'll show them with my fishing pole. Making sure, that they're keeping the game sort of how it was. So I like it. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. I will keep you guys up to date on any future developments. If you aren't subscribed already, I'd love to have you join the crew, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.